So Shane, I wanted to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
About, the first one is, tell me about how you come up with the images and the process in your mind that creates what you're going to paint.
The same thing. I have like a sketchbook and stuff, and I write ideas down, and I think about like what, hey, that would be a great chapter or something. So there has to be some inspiration behind. I think any artist, when they do something, there's got to be something there that's going to lead them, to that. So if there's a certain, when I first started off in the earlier chapters, they were about like a lot of like romantics and like Shelley and Byron and the English romantics, and then got into William Butler Yeats, and then I got into and I started reading a lot of poetry, a lot of literature stuff, and then I realized, why am I reading about other people's stories? Why not take my own story, which became the whole A Painter's Diary and that concept and that idea.
So do you go back to your book and when you get ready to paint and go through and sort of refresh the ideas and then pick one of the ideas and paint them?
Yeah, I recently just took a book. I went to Italy for a little bit and pulled out and I got some of those ideas and then just reignited those creative ideas and put those into a new work. So I'm always looking at color. I was in Scotland and I saw the Roslin Chapel, and there was some red wrought iron, and I've got some paintings that have these red wrought iron throughout so it allows me to go back and understand where I was, what I was thinking about, what the creative process was. But going through school, there's a lot of the times people would say, well, go look at other artists, go to museums, look at stuff and I really wasn't getting inspired by, of course, the beautiful works, but I was getting more inspired by the story, about that, like the titles and where they were from and those why they did it, opposed to just looking at the piece within itself.
So Shane, tell me about the piece with the owl and the motivation, because I know there's a lot of symbolism in it, and I think this is part of your Chapter 19 series that's about your upbringing and where you live.
Treeview Drive, so this is Chapter 19, Treeview, and this is the largest painting in the chapter. And the whole piece is just, you're right, about my childhood, little pieces about my childhood, things that I just felt that kind of going through this process and pulling this painting together was really exciting, because it brought up a lot of stuff in my childhood. And
so, can you tell us about the imagery and some of the things that don't immediately become apparent when you look at the painting?
Yeah, so obviously there's this abstract owl looking straight on the snow owl, but behind the piece is also a collage, and so it's a book, a World War II book that when I was a kid I used to flip through this book and used to scare me to death. I was a little kid, and then I'd shut the book and then I'd run to my room. So right before I did this painting, I found this book, cut out the pieces on it, did a collage, and laid everything out and then painted over top of it. So you'll see, if you look into the painting, there's a lot of actually this World War II photography book. And you can see all kinds of things from Churchill to all kinds of imagery and so on. Even to the book, it's a little weathered. And so at some point, something had eaten through the book. And you can kind of see within the face and so on. So it has this weathered and very layered, transparent quality to it.
So why the owl?
So that was something that was my mother at the time when I was little, she collected owls. So they were all over the house. And so it kind of had a little bit it was about my mother, and it was about this book and this just personal things, because I paint from what I call Painter's Diary. So Painter's Diary is the process of just going through. So when I look at this, I see a little bit of that childhood. I reflect on that, and opposed to someone else that may see this and go, "Oh, it's an abstract owl painting," but there's some conceptualism, throughout the whole piece.
This piece is one of the largest pieces.
Yeah, there was. It's about. I think there's a couple others that are about that size, if not a little bigger. But
did you feel you needed this scale for this image to work?
100%. Yeah, there was another piece of this. It was a commission piece that I ended up doing. It was smaller. It was an owl in flight, but I thought it came out phenomenal. But to have something like this, I see this in, just big dining room area or commercial or something like that. But for me, just the striking of the eyes and the layered of the whites and a little bit of that collage in the background with you can see the book that I cut the pages out and everything, and just the layering quality of this as well.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because, it's very difficult sometimes for us to connect the client to what's going on in the artwork because there's so much symbolism in it. So I appreciate you coming in and helping us with that.